Hello everyone, this is Dr. Shyam. I welcome you all to my channel Dr. PHARMA, and on this video I'll be discussing on cell cycle. So we'll see that what is cell cycle. So try to understand here. Cell cycle is an orderly sequence of events, or you can say it is a series of events in which somatic cell will duplicate, or you can say the somatic cell will form a copy of its contents and they will divide into two. It means that the parent cell will be dividing into two daughter cells. Now the cell cycle consists of two phases. It consists of two phases. Number one is interphase. In this phase the cell is not dividing. Cells is not dividing. And then you can say the next is mitotic phase, or you can say M phase. In this phase you can say the cell is dividing. Okay, so you can say that the cell cycle is a series of events, or you can say sequence of events in which the somatic cell duplicates its contents and divides into two, and it consists of two phases. One is interphase. When the cell is not dividing, it means the cell is getting ready for division, and then they will be entering into the mitotic phase, also known as M phase, when the cell is dividing. So before entering into the details of this two phase, we'll see what is this somatic cells. So see here, any cells in the body except or apart from germ cell, is a somatic cell. Remember that. Or you can say there are two types of cells which are undergoing division. Number one is somatic cell, second one is germ cell, or also you can say reproductive cells. Now see here, there are two types of cell division taking place in our body, or you can say human body. Number one is mitosis. I will write here cell division. Number one is mitosis, second one is meiosis. So what is mitosis? See, mitosis is a type of cell division in which a parent cell will form a two identical daughter cell, each having 2n number of chromosomes, which is also called, or you can say, diploid in nature. They are diploid in nature in case of mitosis. Next is meiosis. In case of meiosis, the parent cell will form four daughter cells, 1, 2, 3, 4, each having n number of chromosomes, or you can say they are haploid in nature, or you can say the chromosome will be dividing into its half. Now try to understand here, all the somatic cells undergo mitosis, or you can say the somatic cells will divide by a process of mitosis. Means the parent cells will form a two identical daughter cells, each having a 2n number of chromosomes, which are diploid in nature. Now the question is why the somatic cell division is important. So I will tell you that why it is important to replace the injured or dead cells. To replace injured or dead cells with new one. So when the cell has been injured, or when there is a injury to the cells, or you can say when the cell has been died, at that time mitosis cell division will be taking place. Okay, and they will replace these injured cells or dead cells with a new one. Germ cells, as you know, see, the germ cells divide by a process of a cell division known as meiosis. Reproductive cells, I also told you, the germ cell is also known as reproductive cell. So why this germ cell, or you can say what is the importance of these germ cells? Then I will tell you that the importance of germ cell or reproductive cell is to form a gamete. To form, you know that the generation has to pass on. There must be a new generation, right? So at that time the germ cell is very important, or you can say the germ cell is dividing by a process of meiosis, in which the parent cell is forming a 4 daughter cells, is having n number of chromosome, or that you can say that it is haploid in nature. So remember that there are 2 types of cell division: mitosis, meiosis. All the somatic cells divide by mitosis, all the germ cell, I mean reproductive cells, divide by meiosis. As I told you, now we'll see in detail. The cell cycle consists of 2 phases. One is interphase and second one is mitotic phase. I told you, in this interphase the cell is not dividing. In mitotic phase the cell is dividing, as we have discussed in the beginning, right? So again, the interphase consists of 3 stages. It consists of 3 stages. Number 1 is first gap phase, or you can say G1 phase. So what is this first gap phase? It is the interval between, you can see here, G1 phase is the interval between mitotic phase and S phase. And what is happening here in this G1 phase? The cell is metabolic active, or you can say the cell is active here metabolically, and the cell will duplicate organelles and cytosolic components, means they will form a copy of its contents. But see here, DNA replication is not taking place, remember that, and centrosome replication begins here in the G1 phase. Now if you talk about time duration for G1 phase, it lasts for 8 to 10 hours. It lasts for 8 to 10 hours. So if you are taking this cell cycle for 24 hours, no, the G1 phase will be for 8 to 10 hours. Now the most important point you have to remember here is the duration of this G1 phase may differ. Some of the cells, like embryonic cells or cancer cell, will remain here in G1 phase for short time, but some cells will remain in G1 phase for the longer time, means they will not divide. Like example is nerve cells. So those cells which are not entering into the cell cycle, they will exit from the cell cycle and they will enter into the resting phase. Remember that they will enter into the resting phase. So as I told you, some of the cells can remain in G1 phase for short time, like cancer cell, embryonic cells. Some of the cells can remain here for longer time, means they will not complete the cycle or they will not divide. Example, I told you nerve cell. So what they will do, they will exit from they will come out from the G1 phase and enter into the resting phase. So that is your G1 phase. Second is, as you can see here, S phase, or you can say synthesis phase. Term itself is telling synthesis, right? Means DNA replication is taking place in this phase. So how can you define this? See, S phase means it is the first, we can say that S phase is the interval between G1 phase and G2 phase. It is a synthesis phase in which the DNA replication is taking place. I told you in G1 phase only the component is forming a copy, DNA replication is not taking place, but in this phase, S phase, DNA replication is taking place and the time taken, or you can say it lasts for 8 hours. S phase lasts for 8 hours. Okay, so that is your S phase. Next is G2 phase, or you can say second gap phase. Second gap phase, that is G2 phase. So what is G2 phase? Again, you can see here, G2 phase is the interval between S phase and the mitotic phase. So what is happening here in the G2 phase? See, the cell will continue to grow here, and then the enzymes and the proteins which are needed for the cell growth are synthesized here, and then centrosome, we can see here in G1 phase the centrosome replication begins. So here the replication will get completed, and the time duration for G2 phase is, you can say, 4 to 6 hours. 4 to 6 hours. It may vary from 4 to 6 hours. Now listen here. It means that now the cell is ready for division. Till here in this interphase they are just preparing for division. So after this phase, means after first gap phase, S phase, second gap phase, now they will be entering into the mitotic phase. Okay, means, or you can say M phase, where the cell will the cell division will be taking place, or you can say the cell will divide. And by this process, you can see here in mitotic phase there is prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and cytokinesis. Means the cell will divide here. It means the parent cell will form a two daughter cells by the cytokinesis, okay, or by the division of this cell. The parent cell will form a two daughter cell, each having, as I told you, what type of cell division it is? It is a mitosis. So in this case, the parent cell will form a two identical daughter cell, each having a 2n number of chromosome. It means they are diploid in nature. Diploid means double, you know, they are in double form. That is why it is called diploid in nature. Okay, and I told you why mitosis is taking place. Mitosis is taking place to replace the dead cells or injured cells with a new one, and somatic cells undergo mitosis and germ cell undergo meiosis. So in this way the cell cycle is taking place in a human body. So this is a brief information regarding cell cycle. It will be useful and it's knowledgeable. Please like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to comment on my video. Thank you all.